Hey guys, James again with TFBTV. A lot of you may know that my wife and I are really big into hiking, camping, the outdoors in general, and we had been talking about next summer maybe going to Katmai National Park in Alaska when the salmon migration occurs. I think it'd be a really cool way to get outside and have a close encounter with one of the most awesome North American predators without having to worry about getting killed. Lindsay and I have run into bears before in California in the redwoods and some bigger brown bears in the Grand Tetons and Yellowstone, and I've got some footage and some pictures or whatever. I'll probably put it up. But of course, when you're hiking in bear territory, you want to know how to protect yourself from bears. So I've done a ton of research into this subject, and I figured it would be a good opportunity to share with you guys the pluses and minuses of using a handgun for bear defense. Now, I say using a handgun because I'm actually not a hunter. I'm a big handgun guy. I don't feel like dealing with the hassle of taking a huge rifle with me. So I've been more interested in how I can use a handgun to protect myself. Now, I gotta say, I love bears, even androgynous shirt-cocking bears like Winnie the Pooh, and I hope I never have to shoot one. But on the other hand, I also don't want to die. So what are we talking about in this video? Number one, bear spray as an option. Number two, a handgun as an option. And number three, if you do elect to use a handgun or bring one with you, what do you bring? Statistically and pragmatically speaking, it looks like bear spray is your best option. You can get to it quicker. It is more effective than a firearm, especially a handgun. And if you use it, you're not going to go to jail or be fined, have your gun confiscated, whatever. So it seems like it's a good option. And I base that off of a bunch of studies that I read. So there's a study by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that they studied all attacks since 1992 and said that persons that defended themselves with firearms were injured in 50% of encounters, while bear spray users were injured half as often and also less severely. Field and Stream magazine published an article discussing a 2008 Brigham Young study that analyzed 600 Alaskan bear attacks and found that bear spray was effective over 90% of the time, 98% of the time actually. Of the 175 people involved in bear spray encounters, of those 600 Alaskan bear encounters, only 3 of them were injured and none of them required hospitalization. By comparison, the study also found that people who used guns only deterred a charge about 2/3 of the time and took at least 4 shots to put a bear down. So the Field and Stream article suggested this exercise. They said, get a paper plate, put it 20 feet away from you, get your gun, keep it at not ready, i.e. as you'd be carrying it if you were just on a hike or whatever, and see how quickly you can get the gun out, ready, on target, and hit your first shot at 20 feet. The author said with his Mossberg, it took him an average of 3 seconds to go from a sling with the safety off, and 3.5 seconds with his Tikka 30-06. I did this experiment myself with a Smith & Wesson Model 69 Combat in .44 Magnum using .44 mag and my fanny pack. All right guys, for our bear simulation, I'm here at 10 yards. I've got a shot timer. It's gonna randomly go off around 8 to 10 seconds after I hit it. And I've also got my fanny pack that I wear hiking and to most social occasions. I'm going to use it to draw from. So I'm guessing if I can do better than 3 seconds from drawing to shooting that 12-inch target, and hopefully I even hit it, if I can do that, I'll be pretty pleased with myself. .16 with one of these freaky deaky bear rounds. As you see, I got snagged coming out of my old fanny pack here. By the way, I'm using this is a Smith & Wesson Model 69 Combat in .44 Magnum, and I'm shooting this 300 plus grain freaky deaky bear ammo. Two point 2.46. 2.46. 2.44. So I was a little bit faster than the Field and Stream guy, but the Field and Stream article says that with a chest holster and bear spray, you can deploy it in less than a second, and of course it doesn't require the same precision that using a handgun does. So again, it seems like using bear spray is your best option. So if bear spray is so effective, why even carry a gun? Apparently bear spray is effective 97% of the time, and according to a very wide-ranging study cited in Outside magazine that drew information from public record, newspapers, books, anecdotal information, spanning from 1883 to 2009, they found that bear-inflicted injuries occurred in over half of close bear encounters, and bears were repelled or killed 84% of the time with handguns and 76% of the time with long guns. Very interesting, especially considering that handguns being more effective than long guns, but I bet the guys carrying handguns are doing it with more of a purpose to deter large animals. So why even carry a gun as a bear deterrent then? Obviously, bear spray is easier to deploy, quicker to deploy, and more effective, and I think that's what you should do. But I'm also not going to say to rule out having a handgun. You guys may remember that highly publicized story from October of 2016. 50-year-old Bozeman resident had hiked 3 miles when he found a grizzly and her cubs in a meadow. That's obviously bad news. He had been shouting, "Hey bear," all morning in order to get their attention and keep them away, and continued to do so, but of course, as a mother bear will do, she charged him. He unloaded a cloud of bear spray. The bear plowed right through it. He dropped to the ground, covered his neck with his arms. The bear started biting, clawing. He started to go back to his pickup, but not much later, the bear came after him, pinned him to the ground, and attacked him again. But miraculously, he survived. So if you want to be prepared, maybe it's not such a bad idea to have a second option, with bear spray, of course, being your first option. So if you're going to carry a gun, what should you carry? I would point you guys out to this NRA article that I read that really does a good job. It's a goldmine of information discussing a comparison between what guides use in Africa versus what we use here. Article notes that while some handguns produce more than 2 foot-pounds of energy per 1 pound of body weight for bear, African guns don't even come close to matching that. It would require a rifle that produced 30,000 foot-pounds of energy to shoot at an elephant to reach that same ratio. The most powerful elephant rifles produce less than a half foot-pound of bullet energy per pound of elephant body weight, sometimes less. But the real takeaway from that NRA article, shot placement, and especially with bears with thick skulls, thick bones protecting their vital organs, muscle, you're going to need something that generates enough penetration. You're going to have to hit them in a vital area, and you're going to have to make it count. So in other words, there is no one caliber solution. While more powerful is always better, you really need shot placement with a round that has enough penetration to put a large animal down if it should come to that. And I've actually seen almost a bell curve of suggestions. On one hand, you have some people who say .357 Magnum and 10 millimeter are good enough to do the job. On the other hand, you have people that say nothing less than .454 or 500 if you're going to be running into grizzly. The consensus seems to be right in the middle of the bell curve, right at about .44 Magnum as being the bare minimum, pun intended, if you needed to stop a really large predator. And a lot of those articles suggesting that, people in the know, experts who have come face to face with bears, they say you're going to need hard cast bullets. Not lead, not soft point, not hollow point, but hard cast bullets that are going to give you the maximum amount of penetration and hopefully reach those vital areas through bone, through muscle, and if need be, put the animal down in as few shots as possible. If you Google it, there are newspaper articles, most of them of course from Alaska, talking about using a .44 Magnum to successfully stop a bear charge. But it seems like, again, a lot of these guys don't get away unscathed, and a lot of them need to take more than one shot to actually stop the encounter. But again, you're also putting down a magnificent American animal and possibly putting yourself in legal jeopardy. So again, bear spray is your best first option, but I don't see anything wrong with carrying something in the .44 Magnum range with hard cast bullets, which is ultimately what I decided to do. I like the Ruger Super Red Hawk Alaskan in .44 Magnum, or if you want something lighter, the Smith & Wesson Model 69 in .44 Magnum. It's about 10 ounces lighter, but produces a lot more recoil. I've reviewed both of those guns. I'll post links here in the description if you want to check them out. Now I've got a special treat for you guys. You may remember Corey from Hammerheart Outdoors. He sent a picture of his cat Coco into the mailbag a few weeks ago. He lives up in Alaska and runs into bears quite often, so I asked him to put together some advice for you guys. Check it out.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Corey from Hammerheart Outdoors. The guys from TFB asked me to do a quick video for you on bears. Biggest thing if you want to avoid any kind of situations with bears is, stop them before they even happen. I know a lot of people carry bells if they have dogs, especially because dogs go running off on trails and surprise bears. Just one thing you don't want to do is surprise them. So they'll put the bells on the dog's collar. So most of the times that bear will hear the bells before you even see it, so you avoid that situation before it even happens. Do you want to carry a gun or do you want to carry a bear spray? Now, I highly recommend bear spray just because it works. I haven't really ever heard of any times where it hasn't worked. Me personally, I carry a 44 Magnum, so this is my gun of choice. I wouldn't really go any lower as far as calibers are concerned if you do decide to carry a handgun instead of bear spray. Now the problem with this is that if you do have a handgun on you and you do shoot a bear, it's kind of your responsibility at that point to skin that animal out and take that that carcass and the quarters and all the other stuff that comes with it out of the field, because that leads into the next thing that happens with bears, is that if you smell any kind of rotten fish, rotten animals, dead flesh, stuff like that, you definitely, like, the hairs on the back of your neck should be raising up at that point, because there's probably a dead animal and there's good chance there's also going to be a black bear or brown bear or something that's protecting that kill, because that's a source of sustenance. So keep your mind about that, and just be smart about yourself. Just let yourself be known. If you do happen to cross one, just make yourself known, back up, and if it rushes you, well, it's game on at that point. And as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to caliber of pistols, like I said, I carry a 44. I know a lot of people carry these big, heavy caliber 454s, stuff like that. That's a great gun. I mean, it's a huge round. It's definitely, the stopping power is there. But the problem is a lot of times I see those people don't really technically, or they're not training with those guns on a regular basis like they would their, like, 9mm Glock. I'm always going to be carrying, and I'm always going to be ready for any kind of instance. So your situational awareness always has to be, peaked up, and you just got to keep your eyes open. So most of these things I've told you will keep you alive in Alaska if you decide to come out here, and stay safe.
In any event, I know it's kind of a touchy subject, but I wanted to present this information to you guys, if anything, to let you know that you have other options that might be more effective than carrying a gun, even though I think carrying a gun in addition to bear spray is not the worst idea. So I guess I could say spray first, pray second. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a fun time looking up all this information. I figured I may as well share it with you. If you guys are looking for a big bore revolver, check out Proxibid. They've got a ton available on their site, old, new, whatever. And if you need ammo for it, Ventura Munitions actually has hard cast grizzly bear rounds on their site. You can go and order them today and they'll send them right to your house. I think it's like a box of 50 too, so you can get some practice with that paper plate beforehand. Anyways, thanks again guys, Patreon supporters, subscribers, viewers, everybody. I'll see you next week.